The Transit Custom evolves into second generation form with the aid of shared design with Volkswagen. As well as the familiar diesel range, there's an improved PHEV variant and, most notably, a full electric e-Transit Custom model too. Britain's best-selling van just got a lot more up to date. The Transit Custom isn't only Ford's best-selling van, outselling its nearest rival 3-1. It isn't only the nation's best-selling van of any kind, it's also the UK's best-selling vehicle full stop, currently outselling Britain's best-selling car, the Vauxhall Corsa, by about 25%. So this, our review on the all-new second-generation Transit Custom, is a big deal because this LCV is hugely significant. What it now isn't in this second generation form is purely a Ford. The so-called Project Cyclone agreement between Ford and Volkswagen provides for all future Volkswagen commercials to use Ford underpinnings in return for Ford gaining access to Volkswagen's MEB platform for passenger EVs. Which is why most of what matters with this Mark II Transit Custom is shared with the 7th generation Volkswagen Transporter, which is built alongside it at Ford's Otosan plant in Turkey. The headlines here predictably lie with electrification, a bigger capacity PHEV powertrain and an all-new full electric e-Transit Custom model. But the previous 2-litre EcoBlue diesel power plant continues to and will continue to account for the vast majority of sales. So that's what we'll be trying here. The Transit Custom model line dates back to 2012, prior to which Custom was merely a trim level of the large-sized 2-ton Transit. That 2-tonner still sits above this Transit Custom in the Ford Pro van range, with the compact Transit Connect, also now Volkswagen-based, positioned just below it. Ford could never have dreamed just how successful the Transit Custom model line would be. Over 206,000 models were sold in its first 4 years on sale, but that was just the start, and a timely update in 2018 coincided with a huge surge in sales as home delivery took off, subsequently fueled by the pandemic. That's helped this second generation Transit Custom as well since its introduction at the end of 2023. But just how good is it? You'll need the industry's most comprehensive review, the Car and Driving Road Test, to find out. Taking a seat behind the wheel leaves you in no doubt that this is a different, more modern generation of Transit Custom. Gone are the analogue instruments and manual handbrake, and pushing in this black power button is a prelude to a display of Transit graphics on the screen ahead. There's the familiar muted rumble ahead of Ford's usual 2-litre EcoBlue diesel engine in the black pump fueled variant we've chosen to try here. But this Mark II model's calling card is its greater degree of powertrain electrification. Has it other engineering attributes to offer? Let's find out. We're driving a diesel today because that's what the majority of Transit Custom operators will want to do for the foreseeable future. If, in developing this second generation model, Ford had been able to foresee just how slow the take-up of electrified powertrains would be in this century's third decade, they might have put some effort into further developing this EcoBlue unit, though to be fair, we've only had it in this van since the original model's mid-term facelift in 2018. As it is though, this diesel continues on virtually exactly as it was in the previous shape design. Tested here in mid-range 150 PS form, but also offered with 110 PS, really only for low weight work, a more useful 136 PS or the auto-only 170 PS. The 136 PS variant offers the option of that new 8-speed high-efficiency auto, and if you specify that self-shifter with the engine in that state of tune, you'll be offered the further option of all-wheel drive for the first time in a Transit Custom. The all-wheel drive system intelligently distributes torque between the axles via an electronically controlled coupling, with adjustments taking less than 20 milliseconds. Ideal if you're regularly going to be delivering to building sites, for which you might also need the optional engine underbody protection plate. There's also a trail model available with a mechanical limited slip differential. This 2-litre diesel is as willing a unit as we remember, in this 150 PS form, capable of dispatching 62 miles an hour in around 11 seconds en route to around 110 miles an hour. More importantly, there's 360 Newton meters of torque, allowing for a maximum towing capacity of up to 2,800 kilograms. There's a tow haul drive setting that can help with that, which is in addition to the usual drive settings, normal, eco, sport and slippery. You might think a sport mode to be somewhat redundant in a van, and on most rivals to this Ford it would be. A Transit Custom though has always been a more engaging sort of steer, and in this second generation form it still is, helped this time round by a useful 100 kilogram reduction in curb weight, though hindered a little by the somewhat excessive size of the new squircle shaped steering wheel. The steering rack's a bit lighter than some enthusiastic drivers might like, but enthusiastic drivers don't often tend to drive vans. Those that do will prefer the ease with which this Transit Custom can handle town-urban traffic, shrinking around you and capable of a turning circle that's either 10.9 metres or, as in this case, 12.1 metres, depending on which of the two wheelbase lengths you select. It doesn't shrink around you quite as much beyond the city limits, and narrow country lanes require a little care, but you're still aided by great all-round visibility, and in terms of body roll, steering precision and traction, this Ford continues to easily set the standard in this class, aided in this Mark II model by a stiffer chassis and a freshly developed semi-trailing arm independent rear suspension design that improves things in all these three areas. That revised rear suspension design does of course help ride quality too. Mid-corner bumps and tarmac tears are easily dispatched, and even urban speed humps aren't felt very keenly in the cab. You certainly don't get the rather bouncy ride that you'd normally expect a van's heavy-duty rear springs to deliver. Refinement isn't quite as good, bettered by some competitors in terms of engine noise and wind roar, but it's quite acceptable. Elsewhere in this film, we'll brief you on the fact that this is now a design shared with Volkswagen, a partnership which has seen Ford provide all the combustion power plants for the two models. An approach which also extends to the unit that features with the Transit Custom PHEV. Other than its development cousin, the Volkswagen Transporter, this Ford is the only contender in this class to offer a plug-in hybrid, which is useful to know because with other rival models, if you don't want a diesel, you're stuck with a pricey EV variant. The 232 PS PHEV power plant in question is a development of the setup that only a handful of customers chose in the previous generation version of this model. Now this sees a 2.5 litre petrol engine replace the old 1 litre EcoBoost unit with an electric motor powered by a larger 11.8 kilowatt hour battery, which when fully charged is expected to be able to take this LCV up to 34 miles without troubling fossil fuel. At the wheel of a Transit Custom PHEV, there are 4 drive modes to choose from. Most of the time you'll use an EV Auto setting, which combines the engine and the battery to best effect. If you're in town and want to use battery-only motion, you'll select EV Now. There's also EV Later, which stores up battery charge for later in your trip, and EV Charge, which uses the petrol engine both to power the van and top up the battery, though that's not very economic. Your final powertrain option in this Ford is the fully electric e-Transit Custom. This model line almost half a decade behind its rivals in offering the option of a full EV variant. In compensation, you do get the kind of wide electric motor choice that's missing amongst electric rivals in this segment. The 64 kilowatt hour usable capacity battery that all e-Transit Custom models share, paired with motor outputs of either 136 PS, 218 PS, or even 285 PS. Driving range is slightly behind the prevailing class standard. The 136 PS variant most will choose, capable of up to 209 miles between charges. Inevitably, that figure takes a dive the more power you choose. The top 285 PS version can only manage 163 miles between charges. You don't really need more power in the EV model because all E-Transit Custom variants share the same eager, class-leading 415 Newton-meter torque figure. Either way, the motor drives the front wheels and there's a brake regeneration system that promises one-pedal driving so that you'll hardly ever need to use the brake when you come off the throttle. The E-Transit Custom can tow up to 2.3 tonnes as well, considerably more than direct rivals. The drive motor is fitted directly to the vehicle's rear floor, removing the need for a dedicated subframe, and is rotated 90 degrees to maximise load space and reduce weight and complexity. This Ford is also the first ever electric vehicle to use as standard vapour-injected heat pump technology to heat and cool the cabin. It's a system designed to deliver improved energy efficiency for optimum driving range. Whatever your choice of Transit Custom powertrain, you can pair it with quite a lot of clever technology. Some of this you might expect, like cross-traffic assist, reverse brake assist, and the adaptive cruise control with stop and go setup available on automatic models to allow for feet-off driving even in traffic jams. But some features are genuinely new, like the delivery assist system that can activate on an auto model when the driver shifts into park. The Transit Custom will then automatically switch on its hazard lights, close any open windows, and lock the door once the driver leaves the van. When returning, the driver can keylessly enter and start the vehicle, whereupon the hazard lights will switch off and the windows will return to their previous position. Neat. A lot's changed then about this Transit Custom, but as you'd want in terms of handling dynamics and drivetrain choice, things are quite familiar. This is how you write a bestseller. Now, it's instantly clear at first glance that this is a more modern kind of Transit Custom. Ford talks about the rebalanced proportions and confident stance of this Mark II design, which become more obvious as you walk around it. There's increased visual width, both front and rear, shorter overhangs, and a subtly different look for the E-Transit Custom model, which gets its own unique front grille. In profile, you note the high belt line and a silhouette that gently tapers back towards the rear. As before, there are two wheelbase lengths. We've got the lengthier L2 body wheelbase shape here, which is 5,450 millimeters long, 400 millimeters lengthier than the L1, and the lower of the two available roof heights. The vehicle architecture was optimized to help achieve an overall height for this volume H1 body shape of under 2 meters to improve access in height restricted areas such as multi-storey car parks, garages and underground loading bays. Across the range, wheel sizes are theoretically between 16 and 19 inches, but almost all models will be ordered with the 16 inches, provided as alloy rims here, that feature in this case. As before, there's a flap by the passenger door for the fuel and AdBlue filler points. This second generation model's smarter front end look brings it into line with the latest versions of Ford's other LCVs. A prominent hexagonal front grille panel is flanked by angular slim headlights which get LED beams with this plusher trim level and are topped by wraparound daytime running lights. There's a white framed blue oval Ford badge on the grille and a slim air curtain slot at each bumper corner. At the rear, the vertical tail lights have smoked lenses and can be LED lit further up the range. The badging's in black and there are corner bumper reflectors. As usual, you can specify tailgate if you don't want these twin opening rear doors. Much more important, of course, is what you can't see. This Mark II model's all-new platform designed around optimum load carrying access, performance and powertrain flexibility. Time to take a look up front, where it's now slightly easier to get in because there's a wider door opening because the front wheels have been moved forward, and that new platform has resulted in a slightly lower ride height. There's a wide illuminated step up into the cab. And inside, it's all very different from the previous generation model, mainly because of this curious oversized squircle-shaped wheel and the new screens provided for instruments and infotainment. They give this cab a more sophisticated feel, embellished by a nicer, though still very practically orientated choice of fascia fittings. The dual-colour dash and this dimpled centre trimming strip, for instance. Arguably the most important change lies with this freshly installed 13-inch Sync 4 centre touchscreen, which is standard across the range. It's angled towards the driver for ease of use and is powered by a 5G modem for superfast connectivity to Ford Pro Telematics, the Ford Pass Pro app and the Ford Live Connected Uptime system. As is the current fashion with this kind of monitor, you can program the home screen with customizable widgets added for audio and phone settings here, alongside shortcut virtual buttons for settings, features and apps. The settings menu covers things like radio, phone, vehicle options and connectivity. Features gives you access to drive modes and driver assistance options. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are of course built in, plus you can add navigation and a 6-speaker B&O sound system. It's a pity though that this screen now controls all the climate functions, which in our view would have been better still served by physical buttons. Pretty much anything else you might need to know can be found on this digital instrument screen, which isn't as large as it initially seems, as it's flanked by separate temperature and fuel gauges. The screen's main function is to show you digital speed above a drive assist graphic, which all moves to the left when you use the appropriate steering wheel button to activate the trip computer function, and moves even further to the left when you activate the screen's various menu functions. My View helps you prioritize instrument screen info, and you can also select a trip fuel readout, status info, a vehicle maintenance screen, trip computer data, audio settings and your phone setup. We mentioned earlier that the wheel you view all this through is somewhat oversized. There's a reason for that, namely because it has to accommodate the option for this Transit Customs party piece, a tilting steering wheel. An extra cost feature we don't have here because Ford hadn't yet introduced it at the time of this test. The tilting feature doesn't relate to the usual process of wheel adjustment. Instead, with that feature fitted, you can press a button and angle the outer part of the wheel so that it can be a tablet holder, or lay it completely flat so that you can put a laptop or possibly your lunch on it. You won't have seen anything like this before, nor have we. What we have seen before and hoped Ford would carry over is an under passenger seat flap to the cargo area, allowing you to push lengthier items through into the cabin. Unfortunately, you have to avoid the 2 base trim levels to get this feature, but it's extremely useful to have, as is the huge under seat area beneath the bases of the twin passenger seat. Other practical touches include 2 glove boxes, the upper one aided by the move of the passenger side airbag to the roof, and the lower one lockable in better trimmed models. And an upper door card shelf, as well as deep lower door bins with bottle holders. There's a cup holder at either end of the dash top, and another folds out from the lower part of the central fascia. You get quite a lot of dash top storage space behind the instrument binnacle, and as usual with a modern van, the centre part of the middle seat's backrest folds out to reveal a work surface with a cubby, a pen tray and an elasticated strap. And there's a ticket clip on the driver's sun visor. Below the gear stick there are USB-A and USB-C ports, plus a 12-volt socket and a storage cubby. Ergonomically, apart from the oversized wheel with its slightly awkward heavily canted angle, there's little to fault unless you object to the curious placement of the starter button up near the touchscreen and the newly added electric handbrake switch, which you'll initially search all over the place for before realising that it's up between the vents. As usual with a van, there's also the issue that on manual models, the gear stick surround intrudes into the leg space of the middle passenger. That won't be an issue if you specify automatic transmission, because with that, the gear shifter is positioned alongside the steering wheel. We mentioned earlier that the front wheels have been repositioned further forward, as have the strut towers. Another benefit of that is this totally flat floor, which results in much better cross-cab access, making it easy to clamber from one side of the van to the other. For the driver, that manual gear stick falls to hand perfectly, and the seats are very supportive with standard heating and lumbar support. It's a pity though that the passenger seat isn't quite as wide as it was in the previous generation model. If you're familiar with that older design, you might notice the slightly lower roofline this time round, but it doesn't prevent this second generation model providing a comfortably high-set driving position that provides a good view out. We're disappointed that the old car's quarter-light windows have here been deleted, but thankfully the useful twin perspective door mirrors remain. Lots of thoughts clearly gone into this second generation model. The brand's designers went to such lengths when considering how owners would use this Transit Custom that even the grains on materials used around the cabin and in the load area are designed to use textures that avoid trapping dirt and water. As van drivers often occupy the cabin alone, the heating and ventilation system has a new driver-focused mode option that uses sensors to direct airflow only to occupied seats. Plus, an intelligent windscreen monitors temperature and humidity and automatically makes small heat and airflow changes to proactively keep the glass surface clear for improved efficiency and ease of use. The days are long gone since you could get a Transit Custom for under £30,000, even without the VAT. At the time of this film, in summer 2024, the Blue Oval brand's Ford Pro commercial vehicle division was asking from around £34,000 without the VAT for this second generation model. But it's pretty easy to push that figure up to around £45,000 and beyond as you increase size, gross vehicle weight and trim levels, which start with base leader, then progress through trend and onto this plusher limited model. Primarily for owner drivers, Ford are also offering pricier lifestyle orientated trail, sport and top MSRT variants. Across the lineup, apart from the different weight ratings, there are two wheelbase lengths, L1 or as in this case L2, and two roof heights, this low roof H1 or higher H2. You get a wider choice of body styles than with most competitors. As well as this conventional panel van, there's not only a crew van version with 2 rows of seats and a bulkhead, Ford calls it a double cab in van variant, but also a combi variant for those needing to take more people with 3 rows of seats and windows all round. There's also a fourth body style that we haven't seen anywhere before, which Ford calls the multivan, which has an L-shaped composite bulkhead which splits the rear compartment with a 2-seat fully trimmed second row alongside a full-length cargo space. On top of all that, there's the non-van variants that aren't our focus here, the Tornado Custom MPV, basically a nicer version of the Combi, and the Transit Custom Nugget Camper. Returning to the conventional panel vans models that are our main interest today, the diesel versions come with 110 PS, 136 PS, in 150 PS form, which is what we have here, and in 170 PS guises. The mid-level 136 PS variant has the option of auto transmission, which you'll have to have with the top 170 PS model. That 8-speed auto gearbox is mandatory if you choose to swap the Transit Custom diesel's usual front-driven setup for all-wheel drive. And of course, an auto is also mandatory if you choose this van with the brand's improved 232 PS petrol PHEV powertrain, though with that engine it's an EV-style one-speeder. Ex-VAT PHEV Transit Custom pricing was starting from around £40,000 as we filmed. The full electric e-Transit Custom model, of course, costs a lot more. Ex-VAT pricing was starting from around £45,000 from launch for the base 136 PS version, though bear in mind that once you subtract the available £5,000 government plug-in van grant from that figure, you'll probably only be looking at needing around £2,000 more than you'd require for an equivalent diesel variant. From the launch of the e-Transit Custom, there was a single 64 kilowatt hour battery choice, but you can have that battery with a choice of electric motors. That base 136 PS unit, or from around £50,000 as we filmed, uprated to 218 PS. The top MSRT version even offers an even gruntier 285 PS version of this motor, but we're not quite sure why you'd need that. Across the whole Transit Custom lineup, there are 3 available gross vehicle weights, 280, 300, or as in the case of this 150 PS EcoBlue model, 320. You'll have to have the 320 if you want the PHEV or the e-Transit. Enough with the range structure. As you'd expect, Ford has priced this second generation Transit Custom a fraction below its Volkswagen Transporter design stablemate, and pretty much at the level of the other mid-sized competing brands in this segment. Apart from the Mercedes Vito, these are mainly provided by Stellantis Group brands and were all lightly updated at the time of this Mark II Transit Custom model's introduction. You're talking about the Vauxhall Vivaro, the Peugeot Expert, the Citroën Dispatch, the Toyota ProAce and the Fiat Scudo. Outside of Stellantis, there's the design badged either as a Renault Trafic or a Nissan Prima Star. And there's also the Maxus eDeliver 7, but that's only available as an EV. If, having considered all of that, you conclude that you'd ideally want a Transit Custom, you're going to need to know just how generous Ford has been with the standard spec. So let's take a look at that now. Starting with the features that all Transit Custom models include. Well, you can tick off a curbside loading door, auto headlamps, heated mirrors, tinted glass, a quick clear heated windscreen, an intelligent speed limiter, cruise control and a reverse parking aid. The cargo bay has LED lighting and a moulded bulkhead. Inside the cab there's a dual passenger seat and a 4-way manually adjustable driver's seat with lumbar support. But the main common feature is Ford's latest 13-inch Sync 4 central touchscreen with Alexa voice control and a 5G embedded modem. This modem enables this Transit Custom to receive Ford Power-Up updates for more than 30 separate vehicle modules. These can help improve vehicle performance, deliver quality upgrades, update existing features and add new functions and capabilities. Most updates are completed in under 2 minutes and can be scheduled to avoid downtime. The standard Ford Pro platform of software and connected services includes management tools from Ford Pro Telematics, the Ford Pass Pro app, and the Ford Live Connected Uptime system. If you're a small business owner without full-time fleet management support, the Ford Pass Pro app is available to assist you. Now, this app enables customers to remotely lock and unlock their vehicle, check its location, track fuel spending and receive health alerts for fluid levels, tyre pressures, oil life and brake condition to help prevent costly breakdowns. So that's covered features fitted across the range, but you'll probably want to choose a Transit Custom that's a bit more nicely specified than one with base leader trim. Mid-level trend models They add air conditioning, body coloured bumpers and wheel covers, plus front parking sensors, a rear view camera and a lock-in glove box. This plush limited variant builds on this with 16-inch alloy wheels, LED headlights, keyless entry, power folding body coloured mirrors, a 16-inch steel spare wheel and an alarm. Inside with this limited spec there's Sensico leather trim for the steering wheel and gear knob, plus the driver's seat gains adjustable armrests, and there's heat for the driver and passenger seats, plus a one-touch front window feature, a driver's sunglass holder and a passenger side under-seat storage area. The cargo bay in a limited model gains a load-through flap in the bulkhead, a moulded load floor liner and super bright load compartment lights. The double cabin van version gets a second side loading door and privacy glass too. We mentioned that there were some extra spec levels aimed at private buyers. The Trail version gets bespoke 16-inch Trail alloy wheels and a front seat tray table, but its main extra feature is the mechanical limited slip differential that's fitted on manual models to help over light dusty tracks. Sport trim is set apart with bonnet accent stripes, larger 17-inch sport alloy wheels, a rear spoiler, privacy glass and LED tail lamps, plus you get sportier seats and dual side load doors. The top MSRT model is for private entrepreneurs really wanting to make a sporty statement, coming with an aggressive aerodynamic front bumper, lowered side skirts, 19-inch multi-spoke carbonised grey MSRT alloy wheels with blue MSRT brake calipers and Goodyear Vendor tyres, a sports rear bumper with integrated diffuser, a motorsport inspired rear spoiler and black mirror caps. Inside there's an MSRT Eco Leather Sports steering wheel, ambient interior lighting, leather and suede upholstery and a wireless charging mat. Choose an electric or a PHEV version and your Transit Custom can also feature vehicle to load power sockets up front, allowing you to tap into the vehicle's battery in order to power devices up to 2.3 kilowatts, like laptops or kettles. Right, let's have a look at key options. This second generation Transit Custom model's interior party piece is Ford's clever tilting steering wheel, which allows the steering wheel to flip up and turn into a table, ideal for a busy driver on their lunch break. This comes as part of a mobile office cab as office pack, which also includes enhanced cab lighting, extra USB connections and laptop tablet stowage between the seats. Another new feature that we like is the Delivery Assist pack, which on automatic models can help streamline every delivery by automating some of the process to save time and improve security. When enabled, Delivery Assist activates when the driver shifts into park. The Transit Custom will then automatically switch on its hazard lights, close any open windows and lock the door once the driver leaves the van. When returning, the driver can keylessly enter and start the vehicle, whereupon the hazard lights will switch off and the windows will return to their previous position. Navigation is optional across the range and included in various packs. It's quite likely that you're going to want an extra side loading door, and both side loading doors can now be fitted out with hands-free power operation at extra cost. Now, as usual with a Transit, you can specify a rear lift gate if you don't want the twin opening rear doors. We'd recommend you consider the smart digital rear view mirror and maybe also the 360-degree rear view camera. And here we've got dual zone automatic air conditioning. If our driving was to be urban based or involve long distances, we'd want to consider the adaptive cruise control with stop and go setup. That's available on automatic models to allow for feet off driving even in traffic jams. If you're a private operator and you avoided the two base trim levels, then you might want to treat yourself to a wireless charging mat and the optional 6-speaker B&O sound system, though that'll mean that you do without the load-through bulkhead. Earlier we were talking about some unique options with this Mark II model. Another that you might want to consider is Ford's first-to-market upfit integration system, which enables converters to seamlessly connect the Transit Custom's electrical system, standard in-cab touchscreen and aftermarket equipment. Now this removes the need to modify the cab area or splice into wiring to fit controls, allowing vehicle conversions to be delivered more quickly and efficiently, as well as potentially improving reliability and safety. Other practical options include deadlocks, anti-pick security locks, an access ladder, an integrated storable roof rack, roof rails and engine underbody protection, which might be useful if you're delivering on building sites. Inside, you can add a large overhead console, and for the cargo area, we'd recommend adding the super bright load compartment lights that are only optional with the bottom 2 trim levels. There's an optional power cinch latch, which assists in the final close action of the side load door. You should also consider adding one of Ford's protection kits to protect the wheel arches and interior panelling. A wooden load floor is available with or without fixing rails. You can of course add a tow bar and glazing for the bulkhead, and the twin passenger bench can be replaced by a single passenger seat if you'd prefer. Now remember that with the bottom 2 trim levels, you'll have to pay extra for an alarm, the load through bulkhead flap and a spare wheel if you want one. All-weather tyres and splash guards are available too, and on a diesel model we'd want to put aside some extra budget to upgrade the small 55 litre fuel tank that comes as standard to a longer ranging 70 litre tank. Bear in mind that whatever Transit Custom you choose, it's very likely that you'll be paying your Ford Pro dealer extra for your choice of paintwork. The only standard shades are the solid ones, Frozen White, Race Red and Blazer Blue. Otherwise, you'll be choosing from Ford's range of metallic and premium body colours. We've got Artisan Red here, and there's a wide range of vastly more expensive bespoke SVO shades. On to safety. This second generation Transit Custom gets off to a good start here with a top class leading gold rating from Euro NCAP. All of this Ford's competitors are rated by that organisation at lesser silver or bronze levels. All Transit Custom models get the usual front airbags, including a segment first roof mounted passenger airbag. Side and curtain airbags are unfortunately optional. There's also a pre-collision assist autonomous braking setup, a lane keeping system, tyre pressure monitoring and traction control plus ESP stability control, the usual ABS braking setup, hill start assist, and if you fit a tow bar, trailer sway assistance too. Ford also includes speed sign recognition and speed limit assist, which can engage a soft limiter that restricts your speed to the last recognised limit. As usual with a modern vehicle, you'll initially be irritated by all the bings and bongs of these camera systems until you learn how to disable them. There's wrong way alert, which makes a big fuss if you try to go down a one-way street the wrong way, and driver alert for drowsiness detection. Add in one of the optional navigation packs and you get a blind spot indicator with cross traffic alert that stops you from pulling out dangerously in front of another vehicle, and reverse brake assist, which alerts you if you're reversing out of a space into the path of an oncoming vehicle. Now, you can also talk to your Ford Pro dealer about an exit warning system that prevents you from opening doors into the face of oncoming traffic or cyclists. Let's get down to the practicalities. If your notebook's at the ready, in this section, we're going to give you the loading and practicality stats that you'll want to consider in choosing your ideal Transit Custom model and comparing it to obvious rivals. As usual, Transit Custom models come with these conventionally hinged side-opening twin rear doors that open out to 90 degrees and can then swing through to 180 degrees. Now, unfortunately though, you can't specify them to swing out beyond that and latch onto the sides of the vehicle in the way that's possible with some competitors. When pulled back, the doors have a 1400mm wide opening, which, to give you some perspective, is slightly wider than a rival Renault Trafic. The loading height is higher than it was with the previous generation model. Depending on the variant you choose, it's between 575 and 593mm from the ground. Now, what you get in here will of course depend on roof height, H1, which is what we have here, or H2, and wheelbase length, L1, or as in this case, L2. The available cargo volume depends of course on body shape. The figures start at 5.8 cubic meters with the smallest L1 H1 version, which is a little down on the 6 cubic meter figure of the equivalent previous generation design. With this L2 H1 model, we've got 6.8 cubic meters, and you can increase that to 7.7 cubic meters with an L1 H2, or as much as 9 cubic meters with the biggest L2 H2 body shape. Now, with the longer wheelbase you get with this L2 variant, cargo area length increases usefully from 2,602mm to 3,002mm. Or if you make full use of the available load-through flap and push longer items through into the cab, from 3,050mm in the L1 to 3,450mm here. On all models, the cargo area width is 1,777mm, narrowing to 1,392mm between the wheel arches. The rear door aperture height is 1,314mm on H1 versions and 1,814mm on H2 variants. If we'd people as well as packages to carry, we'd want to consider Ford's new multi-cab body shape, which aims to meet the needs of those who want to carry up to 5 folk but need a longer load area than you get in the usual double cab in van model. Thanks to an L-shaped bulkhead around the rear seats, a multi-cab Transit Custom can still transport sheets of 8x4 plywood and offers up to 3,450mm of load length, even when fully loaded with people. A multi-cab Transit Custom offers up to 4.7 cubic meters of load capacity and can take up to 1,190 kilograms of payload too. As we told you in our market section, across the Transit Custom range, there are 3 gross vehicle weights: 280, 300 and 320. And depending on your selection between these, your engine choice and your body shape, maximum gross payload on a diesel model like this one can be anything between 891 kilograms to 1,327 kilograms. Payloads for the 2 plug-in models are a bit less than that, of course. For mainstream versions, it's between 1,136 kilograms and 1,191 kilograms for the PHEV, and between 1,016 kilograms and 1,042 kilograms for the 64 kilowatt-hour e-Transit Custom. Towing weights are very class competitive. You can tow between 2,000 kilograms and 2,800 kilograms with a diesel-powered Transit Custom. It's 2,300 kilograms for the PHEV or the e-Transit Custom. Across the entire range, up to 170 kilograms of load can be carried on the roof. Now, it's a very practical load space, and here's a great example of that: the super bright load compartment lights, which you have to pay extra for with the bottom 2 trim levels. There are twin lights on the roof near the bulkhead, and another in the middle, and a further 2 right here at the rear. Now, we particularly like the fact that these 2 rear ones, operated by this side wall switch, are angled out, making it easier to load things in at night. As usual, it'd be wise to pay the extra for protective side panelling to protect the sides and the wheel arches from scratches and scrapes. And you can, as usual, specify a wood floor. Ford has chosen the materials used back here very carefully, concentrating on surfaces that give the best balance between offering a firm footing for wet or muddy boots and enabling heavy items to be slid in and out easily. Shorter L1 variants have 6 tie-down points, as have all PHEVs. Now, this longer L2 body shape offers 8 tie-downs. Just this single side loading door features as standard, now with a class-leadingly wide aperture. As usual, another can be added at extra cost on the other side. For this second generation model, Ford has improved the side door step to make access easier and added the option of hands-free powered operation, useful if you'll be approaching the van laden down with packages. There's the usual full-width metal bulkhead, which, if you avoid the bottom two trim levels, comes with the useful load-through flap into the cab that we mentioned earlier. Now, additional deadlocks and reinforced door locks are available for increased load space protection. Choose an electric or a PHEV version, and your Transit Custom can also feature vehicle-to-load power sockets up front, allowing you to tap into the vehicle's battery in order to power devices up to 2.3 kilowatts like laptops or kettles. Enough with loading practicalities. What about running costs? Well, here we've been concentrating on the EcoBlue diesel variants that most customers will choose, and specifically for this test on the mid-range 150 PS version, which, if you select the most frugal Eco drive mode, is supposed to be able to record up to 38.7 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle with 190 grams per kilometre of CO2. The most efficient diesel variant, the base 110 PS manual version, manages 40.4 miles to the gallon and 183 grams per kilometre. Bear in mind that with some variants those figures can drop quite a bit. The all-wheel drive trail version, for instance, in L2 form, can only manage up to 33.2 miles to the gallon and 222 grams per kilometre. On all Transit Custom diesels, the 2-litre 4-cylinder engine benefits from Ford's mild hybrid system, which uses a belt-driven integrated starter generator, the BISG, to replace the usual alternator, enabling recovery and storage of energy during vehicle deceleration, and charging a 48-volt lithium-ion air-cooled battery pack. The BISG also acts as a motor, using the stored energy to provide torque assistance to the engine under normal driving and acceleration, as well as running the vehicle's electrical ancillaries. The EcoBlue diesel's auto start-stop technology operates in many situations, including when the vehicle is stationary in gear and when the vehicle is coasting to a stop. The driver can adjust the coasting speed at which auto start-stop operates between 7 miles an hour and 12 miles an hour. It all sounds impressive, but the efficiency benefits turn out to be quite slight, about 1 mile to the gallon better than the previous generation model, which is disappointing given that this Mark II design is claimed to be around 100 kilograms lighter and 13% more aerodynamic than its predecessor. Other competitors do better. A rival Renault Trafic, for instance, manages up to 40.9 miles to the gallon and 182 grams per kilometre in DCI 110 diesel form. And that Renault can take you much further between fill-ups due to its large 80-litre fuel tank. The Transit Custom only comes with a 55-litre tank as standard or a 70-litre tank as an option. As before, all Transit Custom diesels come with a 20-litre AdBlue tank, the filler for which you'll find down near the passenger side door. The AdBlue additive is, as usual, there to reduce NOx emissions from the exhaust and ensures that this Ford's engine qualifies for the current Euro 6.2 emission standard. If your business needs to make more of an eco statement but isn't quite ready for a full EV, then you'll possibly be interested in the PHEV petrol model we told you about in our driving section, which has an 11.8 kilowatt-hour battery offering 34 miles of EV range. Charging this model takes much the same amount of time as before because the 3.7 kilowatt charging speed is the same, which means it'll take around 4 hours to charge from empty to full. Thanks to the larger battery's longer EV range, overall economy is much better than before though, having risen from 91.1 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle with the previous Transit Custom PHEV to 176.6 miles to the gallon this time round. Though of course, as usual with a PHEV, that's a fantasy land figure. If you keep the vehicle regularly charged up, you'll probably record running cost figures similar to those that you get with this diesel. Obviously, the cleanest and most efficient version of this model is the E-Transit Custom, which, as we told you in our driving section, was launched with a 64 kilowatt-hour usable capacity battery, which with the base 136 PS motor is capable of up to 209 miles between charges. Inevitably, that drops a bit with the two more powerful motor options. The top 265 PS version can only manage 163 miles between charges. The E-Transit Custom 64 kilowatt-hour battery charges at up to 125 kilowatts. Charging takes just under 8 hours from an 11 kilowatt source, while DC public charging can take the battery from 15 to 80% capacity, so from around 35 miles of range to around 190 miles of range in just under 40 minutes. Ford has designed the charge profile to front load the energy, which allows the 125 kilowatt fast charge to add 23 miles of range in just 5 minutes for quick top-ups. Better still, the one pedal brake regen driving system can keep the battery topped up as you journey on. Van brands still don't tend to offer very long warranties, though Nissan and Toyota are now challenging the market in that regard. Ford offers this van with 3 years and 100,000 miles of cover. What about maintenance? Well, overall, a Transit Custom needs less frequent servicing than most of its direct rivals, but exact service intervals depend on the powertrain that you choose. The diesel and PHEV models need a garage visit every 2 years or 25,000 miles, whichever comes first. For the E-Transit Custom, there's a 2-year unlimited mileage servicing interval. Ford Pro offers fleet managers a free Telematics Essentials data service that allows them to monitor vehicle health alerts and schedule servicing accordingly, meaning that they can plan for downtime more effectively. The telematics package, which is complimentary for the first year of ownership, well, it also allows owners to monitor their vehicle's location and efficiency for maximum productivity. The system can reduce fuel and maintenance costs by sending in-cab voice prompts for excessive idle time, harsh braking or acceleration, and driving without a seatbelt. Telematics can also send vehicle owners real-time security alerts if the system detects theft, unauthorized use or activity beyond set working hours. The Ford Pass Pro app is available to assist small business owners without full-time fleet management support. The complimentary smartphone app enables customers to remotely lock and unlock their vehicle, check its location, track fuel spending and receive health alerts for fluid levels, tyre pressures, oil life and brake condition to help prevent costly breakdowns. Across the rest of Europe, Transit Custom models enjoy little of the mid-sized van segment dominance that they have in the UK. But on the evidence of this Mark II model, you'd have to wonder whether continental buyers are missing a trick. Ford says that here it's set out to do nothing less than set a fresh benchmark for what small to medium-sized businesses can expect from a commercial vehicle. As a result, continuing sales success for this second-generation Transit Custom in our market is hardly in doubt. After all, even at the end of its production life, the previous model was still selling as fast as Ford's Turkish factory could make it after, well, more than a decade on sale. And the current consumer appetite for home delivery, with the resultant demand for vans of this size, seems insatiable. It'll be interesting, though, to see whether being able to buy, well, essentially the same vehicle with a Volkswagen badge will have much effect on this Transit Custom's market share. Probably not. Ford, better than any other brand, has an effective handle on what business customers need in this segment. And what they're going to need going forward is more sophisticated electrification, which this second generation model provides very effectively. We can't help thinking that in the here and now, with the current state of public charging, the PHEV version might be a more sensible choice than the EV though. For the time being, most folk will probably avoid that decision altogether and stay with a conventional diesel variant, which they'll find will meet their needs better than ever before, though at a noticeably increased price. But you might expect to have to pay that for a class benchmark. Currently, that's what this van is. It is, once again, number one for a reason.